Now, I continue. The legal systems, hear me very carefully, Mr. Speaker, because I don't talk because I have to talk or because words come easy to my mouth. The legal systems of modern societies, you hear me, Mr. Speaker? The legal systems of modern societies recognize many different forms. Mr. Speaker, this is the throne speech. This signals where government is going with policy formulation. That is what a throne speech does. It is not what the Governor General, head of state, wants to say. It is what the government says through the mouth of the head of state at the time, Her Excellency, the Governor General. And I quote, "The legal systems of modern societies recognize many different forms of human relationships." You got that? Barbados is now increasingly finding itself on international lists. You got that? Including within the multilateral system, which identify us as having a poor human rights record. Barbados does not conduct business, trade with itself, or give itself loan financing. In some cases, our human rights record, when viewed against modern international standards, impacts these other issues and how we are viewed among the global family of nations. On this matter, the world has spoken. Mr. Speaker, it says, if we wish to be considered among the progressive nations of the world, Barbados cannot afford to lose its international leadership place and reputation, nor can a society as tolerant as ours allow itself to be blacklisted for human and civil rights abuses or discrimination on the matter of how we treat the human sexuality and relations. My government will do the right thing, understanding that this too will attract controversy. Equally, it is our hope that with the passage of time, the changes we now propose will be part of the fabric of our country's record of law, human rights, and social justice. In that regard, Mr. Speaker, it says, my government is prepared to recognize a form of civil unions for couples of the same gender so as to ensure that no human being in Barbados will be discriminated against in the exercise of civil rights that ought to be theirs. The settlement of Barbados was birthed and fostered in discrimination, but the time has come for us to end discrimination in all forms. I wish to emphasize that my government is not allowing any form of same-sex marriage and will put this matter to public referendum. My government will accept and be guided by the vote of the public as promised in its manifesto. I'm setting a context, Mr. Speaker. I'm saying I don't accept that this preamble or this charter will not manifest themselves in our constitutional stipulates going forward, in the provisions of our fundamental rights in that Constitution, and will not become premise upon which people will challenge in court the type of treatment which perhaps they may find. This document says we have to fit in with what the world is doing. This document says we have to fit in with what the world is doing. If we are going to be accepted by them, if we're going to get benefit from their financing, generosity, this government, this country, this document is saying has to fit in with what this, listen, this is so loud with irony, Mr. Speaker. This is so loud with irony because it is coming at a time when we are taking that next step that enhances our sense of constitutional independence. We're moving to become a republic, but here in this throne speech, and I believe it is manifested in much of the dogma of this charter and in the preamble, we are saying we've got to fit in with the world and accept some of what the world proffers and offers and forces upon us if we are to benefit from what they have to offer. I say 30 pieces of silver was not sufficient then, and 30 pieces of silver is not sufficient now. And I pray that we do not find as a government, or any of us as an individual, ourselves exposed to judicial peril because there's some provision in our constitutional architecture or our legislative framework that sets us at odds with strange people coming from foreign parts, thinking that they can behave the same way they behave at home because our values must conform to or comply with this. I didn't want to be so long as a speaker, but the interruptions from my honorable, well-intentioned friends, though misguided, have brought us to this point. Now, the document speaks of strong communities, and the honorable member is right. There are lots of things in this charter with which I agree. But I've said to us some time ago, it is the 2% in rat poison that kills.